What's up, cool kids of the internet? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today is weird because I was not anticipating doing a video at all. In fact, today was entirely lessons. It was lessons almost the entire workday. That's what I do full time. I'm a full-time metal vocal coach, teaching people how to make all sorts of cool noises safely and efficiently, so they can make cool music and make cool sounds. And my last student canceled, so I had a free hour. And well, it wasn't a free hour. I was going to do a bunch of student emails, but the guitarist in the band that I do for vocals for, Kardashev, he sent me, his name is Nico. He sent me this video and he's like, dude, you gotta react to this video. And I was like, okay, I've probably seen it, but sure. No, I don't know dick about this band. So this is weird. You know, when I've been doing metal vocals for about 14 years, I've been listening to metal since I was 10 and I'm 35. So 25 years. So I've heard a lot. I really can't do, first time reactions anymore unless they're brand new songs. And I know this was just released today, but I've never heard of this band, which is really rare. This rarely happens to me. Imminence, Death by a Thousand Cuts. From what I'm seeing, I don't know if it's one dude. I don't know if it's a full band and this is just his live performance. Literally, I finished my last lesson and now I'm doing this video. So this is going to be exciting. I see a violin. So, but if you're new here, again, my name is Mark. I'm a full-time metal vocal coach. That's my job. I spend time teaching people how to make cool deathcore and death metal and sludgy noises, safely and efficiently so they don't hurt themselves and they can make all sorts of cool music or sing along to their favorite songs, really whatever they want to do. Actually, this sweater was given me to one of my previous students. His band's called Left to Rot. Check them out on Spotify. And anyways, I take the reaction format here. I break it down. I make it educational. So there is a lot of pausing and talking. If you want a commentary-free version of the video, there is a link in the description below. Here we go. Imminence. Death by a Thousand Cuts, Eddie Berg. Okay, I do know his name now. Eddie Berg, one take live performance. Here we go.
There's no escape from the thoughts inside my head. Dark days, it's taking the best of me. This life has got me by my knees. There's no cure to the disease. Can you turn back time to change what you have done, to shape who you become? Drowning in my mind, I keep waiting for death to touch me, I keep waiting for you to save me.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there. I can hear sort of a build up, so I think we're gonna get some sort of change here. So first and foremost, his singing is interesting. I love the way it sounds. Let's talk about why it's interesting. First and foremost, if you've ever taken vocal lessons before, whether with me or somebody else, they're always harping on open your mouth, make your mouth wide or tall, but open your mouth, right? This guy, Eddie here, he is singing through a very closed embouchure. When we talk about embouchure, we're talking about the shape of the mouth, right? And he's almost got, it sounds like he's got his teeth together sometimes. Now, this is an important thing for us to know, because when we're learning vocals, we're learning how to sing right. But when we can control our voice, we can break all the rules we want, right? It's like going from, composition to poetry. Right? You can break all the rules you want. Who cares about commas? Who cares about plural agreement? Who cares about tense? You do what you want to do. And this guy, he's got a really good control of his chest voice. He had a couple flips to head as well that are really nice. Now, I don't know this melody, but essentially he's got he's like singing out of the side of his mouth, which is kind of weird too. I'm not really sure what that's adding to the tone, but that just might be like a sort of comfort thing. He's got like this, I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid, right? Again, I teach death metal vocals, so don't at me. But he's got this, he's even lower than that, I can show you the world, la da 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 da. It's really interesting, and he's got a great sound about it. I love how delicate and controlled the voice is. I love the airiness. One thing that he's doing that's really interesting as well is he's brightening certain vowels by pulling his lips back. He's sort of smiling out some of the words again with this really closed embouchure. Flips to head voice were beautiful, really well controlled. I love the light tone that he's got. Yeah, everything about this guy's singing so far, I'm a big fan of. He's doing some more I don't want to say wrong because it's not wrong. I get so mad sometimes when people are like, that's wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but it sounds cool and it's safe. So who cares, right? He's doing some stuff that maybe isn't like quite by the book with his mouth shape, but it sounds sick as hell. And I love it. And one thing about me, if you've watched the channel for long enough, is I don't care about convention. If it sounds cool and it's safe, then it's good and cool and right. And I love it. So let's go ahead and keep going. Also, like, shout out to the goodest boy in the window there. Hell yeah. Here we go. That is a nice, man. That is a really nice distorted gritty belt. That's awesome. We're starting out with what essentially we would put under the umbrella of a fry scream, right? Now, before we talk about the distortion, there's some really cool stuff he's doing here. In fact, we're probably gonna watch it again. I don't know if he repeats this chorus. Probably. It sounds like a very verse chorus type of song from what I can hear, but just in case, I don't want us to miss it. He's doing something really awesome and really interesting with his tongue that I want to point out. So a lot of the times when we're screaming and we're screaming really, really bright, our tongue is actually going to be up in the back, right? So I'm going to do something that's more in my wheelhouse, which is like a very like black metal, deathcore type of high, but it applies here. So you're going to see that my tongue is going to go up and in the back. Yeah. See how it's kind of up and high? This is also something that we do when we, might sort of like belt in a bright forward tone. Hey, yeah, right? You can see that the tongue is up and high. His tongue, however, is flat and forward, and it almost like rests on his teeth and on his lip, right? Now, I don't know necessarily the decision he's got behind what he's doing here, but I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know if this guy has training. I don't know anything about his background, but what I can tell you is it's doing some really cool stuff for his voice. The first thing that it's doing for his voice is it's really opening up the vocal tract. Now, the reason we usually lift the tongue in the back is because it gives us these bright frequencies that help the scream really carry out, right? But the way that he's creating his gritty tone, he's getting a lot of brightness anyway from that like sort of fry. It may be like a fry false chord hybrid sound. Once we get into like these really bright belted sort of voicey places, we really start getting mixtures of distortion generation rather than sticking to one pure thing. But so he's creating a lot of open space, and he's accentuating that open space because when we stick our tongue on our bottom lip, our tongue is kind of pulled from the back of the mouth, right? In fact, a lot of times when I have a student who tends to swallow their voice, so they would sing, I can show you the world shining. I'll have them sing with their tongue sticking out. I can show you the world. It's not a technique I made up. It's been around forever. And by having his tongue flat down and forward, he's got tons of space. And that's going to help this vocal that he's doing sound absolutely massive. He's going in and out with his distortion as well. So he says, death by. In death, you can hear a little bit of voice, but by you have pure distortion. And then he does like a little vocal break onset that's really neat as well. Let's go back and let's listen to that again, and then we can talk a little bit about the scream. His dog, dude, that dog is so chill. That dog does not care. He's just hanging out. He's just hanging out with his buddy, listening. He just likes that Eddie here is in his element. And you know what? I do too. Here we go. Yeah, man, this guy's good. This guy is really, really good. He is doing a lot with a few techniques to really make them pop. One thing I didn't notice the first time is that he has like, so he just says death by 1,000 cuts, and then he makes a small change with his lips to sort of bring that pitch down. So again, I'm going to use like just some pure distortion that's a little quieter so you can hear what I mean. But he's got like this. Let's do no, let's do a high. Yeah, so he's got like this. It's not quite as drastic, but you can see his lips doing it, and you can hear it sort of drop, and it really makes that held out vocal not get boring. It keeps it really, really interesting. I want to talk about one more thing with this type of scream, advice for learning it, and then we're going to keep going. But a lot of the times when people are having difficulty with this type of like, it shows up in a lot of genres, but we could call it like a metalcore belted high. Let's just call it that, a metalcore scream for now. It's a bit reductive, but I don't care. A lot of times when people are doing like this voiced metalcore scream, this metalcore high, they'll run into a lot of issues with pain in their throat, tons of issues with pain in their throat. And while, yeah, that is often coming from the way that they are creating the grit, it's also coming from the fact that they may not have a good relationship with high notes and existing in a high space in their voice. And so it's more of a muscular issue, right? Now, with that being said, what I do with that student is I usually teach them how to get higher. And this is something you can do at home as well, assuming you've got just like a baseline distortion that you can make, false chord or fry, I don't care. This is something that you can do at home. You don't necessarily have to be a good singer. It does help, but you should be able to access different spaces in your voice. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to stop thinking about it as high and low positionally, right? The reason it's high is because it's a high frequency. It's a high rate of distortion. That's what a high frequency means, right? There's a high frequency in a space, like if you were to measure the wave. And if it's low, it's because there's a low frequency. So the first thing is you stop thinking about it being above you. And then the second thing is you're going to sort of just seesaw your voice. And what you're going to do is you're going to avoid getting into like a super high falsetto, right? So you don't want to do this. You want to keep your voice a little bit connected. And it doesn't matter how high you go. You want to find what's comfortable for you. More connected. There we go. Hey. And then you stay there and you do that until you can be entirely relaxed, right? And if you're having trouble relaxing in your throat, there are a lot of different things you could be running into, one of which could be a lack of proper breath support. So you're not getting the support from your abdominal muscles that you need. So instead, you're squeezing the throat, right? Now, as an aside, because this is my channel, if you're having trouble creating distortion and relaxing your voice, on cardivoxacademy.com, we have an e-course. It is a false chord fundamental e-course, so it's a little bit different than this, but a lot of the techniques that you would be learning there are fundamental for any kind of harsh vocal that you want to do. Anyway, so I have like this, then you turn it into a high, like a hype man sound, right? Like you can think about like a Limp Bizkit, right? You know, it's all about the he said, she said bullshit. Hey, yeah. Now from there, I'm going to put a little distortion on it. It's going to be very similar to what he's doing, but I've spent the past 10 years trying to sound like a sad boy out in the woods, atmospheric black metal. So the delivery is going to be a little different, but it's just an example of how we can create the grit with a relaxed space. So I'm here, right? And this is something that you can do as well, assuming you have these bass pieces put together. Hey, death, death by 1,000 cuts, right? And you get like that sort of death by 1,000. And then you'll have, assuming you've taken, the weeks or months you need to learn distortion and to learn how to exist higher in your voice, you'll have an easy time putting those together and you won't feel a whole lot of strain on your throat. If you are just now learning how to scream, don't do any of that. Don't do any of that. Start low and slow. Anyways, here we go.
Can you hear the echoes of my heart, the distant beating in the dark?
Yeah.
I know the walls are closing in. I feel it deep within.
Huh.
Like you waiting for time to touch me. I keep falling for you to save me.
So this is really interesting. He's doing this guy is doing a lot of really cool stuff. I appreciate that so far the song is simple vocally. I don't want to say simple because that sounds like a dig, and it's not. It's let's call it you know what? If you take it the wrong way, it's on you. It's simple vocally, right? But at the same time, there's so much nuance and so many interesting things he's doing with his vowels, with his placement, that it's really fun to listen to. So for example, he's pronouncing the word mind as mind, right? And so that's one thing you can do. It reminds me of a like cool little calibration that you can do to sort of get your voice up and into the front. He's very much singing into his lips and into his teeth. And one thing that you can do to sort of get yourself into that space, I like to call it the cat poo or the fur ball noise, because I imagine opening a door. Now, I don't have any cats. I'm allergic to them, but I absolutely love them. But if I had a cat and I was to open the door to my bedroom and there was a fur ball or a pile of cat poo right on my pillow, I might do this. That's nasty. Yeah. And then you have a voice that you can, it's a decent tone that you can use for a lot of different things. And if you want to practice that, think about talking. Think about your speaking voice. Hey guys. No, that's okay. I'm going to head home. Hey guys. Whoa. Yeah. I'm just dicking around, but he's kind of singing into that space. Obviously, this is a beautiful melody he's written that he's practiced over and over and over again. And it sounds really nice. It sounds really good. Let's keep going. I love his placement here. Another thing that's, hey, I was wondering when we were going to get some violin going. I was like, dang, he's holding this thing and he ain't using it. Sometimes that makes it better though. You know, you get people, they're like anticipating, they're like, what? And then when it actually does hit, oof, so good. So I'm excited to hear this. Also, I love this dude's vibe. Like, obviously, like, I don't know anything about clothes or fashion, but his outfit right now looks, I don't know. I love the hair, the beard, the look. It's just a cool looking dude. And like the pictures, the whole vibe of this guy and his setting is just very interesting to me. One thing that's really cool and really interesting is that his scream, when he's screaming death by 1,000 cuts, you hear that there's like this thin sheet of air coming through. Right? This thin sheet of air coming through. And that's coming from that, you know, predominantly fry tone. Like if somebody I had to pick a camp to put this in, I definitely call that more of a fry scream, right? And then when he starts singing, we hear the vocal cords engaged and put together. Obviously, you're probably out there, but you might be out there like, of course, Mark, we all heard that. True. But one thing that I find really impressive is that regardless of the activation of his vocal cords being connected or not, he has the same amount of power and pressure in his voice. Very, very, very cool. It means that, again, I don't know this guy, so I'm kind of drawing some conclusions just based on what I'm seeing, but it means he's got a very balanced and very controlled system. Whenever you're screaming like this, you do have to have some strategic constriction, right? The best example that I can give you for this is a vocal that I do, totally different than this guy, but it's like this low guttural sound. It's like this. When I do that, if I turn it into my true voice, you will be able to hear that I'm closing up the top and back of my mouth, right? So it's not an entirely relaxed vocal. It's everybody, what's going on? My name is Mark. But if I release that, you can hear that the spacer on my vocal cords is actually relaxed and controlled, right? So the fact that he's on, off his vocal cords, I shouldn't say off, but he's changing the degree of engagement on his vocal cords, right? And keeping that distortion high up and healthy is just really cool. That's a high level of control. I would love to have this guy on the channel. I don't know how much other music they have, but we're going to send him an email because I think it'd be really fun to talk to this guy about his voice because he's got really good control of what he's doing. And listen for that thin sheet of air versus that nicely connected singing voice. It's really fascinating. It's a lot of fun. Let's keep going.
Do you bleed for something? Or will you die for nothing? Do you bleed for something? Death by 1,000 cuts. The writings on the wall. The lights before the fall. Death by 1,000 cuts. Do you bleed for something? Or will you die for nothing? I keep waiting for death to take me. I keep hoping for you to save me. Do you bleed for something? Or will you die for nothing? I keep waiting for death to take me. I keep hoping for you to save me. Do you bleed for something? Or will you die for nothing?
Okay, that's it. Yeah, this guy is super talented. So one thing you can listen for, right? With vocalists, to get kind of an idea if what they're doing is healthy. And this is a check that you can do for yourself, right? Oftentimes when our vocal folds get too much force, distortion, pressure, misuse, let's just say misuse, we lose our ability to be in our head voice, right? So the fact that he goes from or not even just our head voice, even like a light, airy, like upper chest voice can have difficulty connecting. And the reason for that is because the vocal cords get puffy, right? They get puffy, they get swollen. And when they get puffy and swollen, they're not going to meet. The edges are not going to meet and undulate in a way that creates the phonatory sound that we're used to, that is our voice, right? So one check that you can do, well, before I talk about that, so the fact that he went right from those screams into that like sort of airy upper chest voice, then back into the screams, you know, obviously this is one song, one take. We can't use this as a whole like assessment of how you know safe his technique is. It sounds great to me. What we hear in this song, we can be pretty sure what he's doing is not putting a lot of extra effort on his vocal folds. And so if you are practicing and let's say you finish doing a screams, or like maybe like me, you finish doing like an entire day of like, you know, 5, it was going to be 6. Now it's 5 because we had a cancellation, 5 hours of vocals and then some screaming in a video. You want to be able to do this after. And so you can like sing happy birthday. It's not about going as high as you can. It's about being in a comfortable sort of falsetto range. Happy birthday to you. Right? And if your voice sounds like this, happy birthday to you. I'm forcing it. I'm mimicking the sound now. But if you can't connect, if you try to go, ooh, and it sounds like, ooh, it means your vocal cords are swollen. And you've put too much effort on them, you've misused them, and you need to reevaluate your technique. You need to get checked out. Now, I'm not a doctor, so past that, just like that's not like medical advice. That's just like a little check that all vocalists can do to make sure their voice isn't getting slammed, right? But if you are running into that, that's when you'd want to reevaluate your technique, which is where you'd see a coach like me or somebody else. There are a lot of people who do harsh vocal lessons out there right now. Or you'd want to see a doctor if you're concerned about it. But I don't hear that going on with this guy, Eddie Berg. I hear a lot of mastery, a lot of control over his vocal space. I'd be interested to hear more of their music because I want to see if that violin features more. But I do like that he did like those kind of horror movie panicky, like I don't play violin, but like those quick little notes, those I don't know, I sound like an idiot with that scream. Just there was a lot of tension, it was a little spooky. But other than that, that's all I got. I'm gonna look more into Imminence because that was really cool. Death by a Thousand Cuts was awesome. Eddie Berg just looks like a very interesting fellow, so maybe we'll get him on the channel, maybe not, who's to say. But if you liked the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to enjoy this video. And if you're interested in learning metal vocals, definitely check out carnivoxacademy.com. There's information about one-on-one lessons. And if you're, brand new, and you just want to learn how to make some distortion, we do have an e-course. Again, it's False Chord Fundamentals. Teaches you the basics of how to start a false chord growl and gets you a good solid mid and low growl by the time you're done with it. It's been doing really well. A lot of people are, letting us know that it's been very helpful to them. So it might be worth you checking out. But other than that, honestly, just taking some time for the watch is greatly appreciated. That's all I got. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.